Hello. Welcome to
Monday with the Mavens.
We are talking all things movement, exercise, but maybe not exactly how you think. I was making sure I was on as Macro Mavens and not myself. I am, I think. So we, once again, are going to be looking in two different spots. We have Facebook over here, Instagram over here, and we're super excited to just jump in. We get a lot of questions about...
Sorry. You looked like deeply into my eyes, and I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything you said. We get lots of questions. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Refocus.
We get a lot of questions about exercise. Like, do I need to do it? Where do I start? Do I start both at the same time? How much is too much? What type of exercise should I be doing for my goals? Like, it seems pretty simple. Like, I think the short answer is, do you need to move your body? Yeah, you should, but there's a lot to it. And so we're hoping to just like break it down, give some like bite-sized, tangible places to start, maybe some things to consider, hopefully dispel some things that we think are actually like dangerous misinformation that's out there, in our opinions. I'm just talking.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just listening. I'm a little distracted today. I'm kind of like, we're outside. It's beautiful. It's really bright. I feel like maybe I need sunglasses, even though there's an umbrella up. Anyway, I'm a little bit distracted, so I may be just floating in and out.
That's quite all right. Okay, I want to start by just talking about when we talk about exercise. I'd like to actually shift it a little bit today, and I think they go hand in hand, but just to talk more about movement, like moving our bodies. And, you know, most people, I think, I could be wrong, attribute exercise to aesthetics. And yes, like to get, to help your aesthetic goals, especially muscle tone, exercise is important. But
hold on, can we all just sit back and listen to the way Emmy says the word important?
Importante.
No, that's not how she says it. She
important.
Says important. She really, on words, see, this is what I mean. I'm a little bit distracted today. She really enunciates those T's. When there's two T's in a word, you hear them both.
It's very satisfying.
See,
that's only one T though, but it's still satisfying. She's very good at enunciating the syllables and words, like important. Let's talk about why.
Let's talk about movement.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, I'm just going to talk about a couple things really quick, because in addition to your, you know what? I don't even want to start there. You know where we should start?
I know where we should start.
Okay, jump in.
Okay. I think that we make it too complicated.
You have something dark on your lip right there.
Oh, get it.
It was a bug.
Ew. Gross. Thank you.
Sure.
Real friends get bugs off of each other's lips.
It's so true. We have a red umbrella on the other side of us, so if we look red.
Tan.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So important. Now everyone is saying important over and over. It's true.
It's true.
Yeah, but it's a fun word.
Yeah.
Use it today.
Use it. It's very important. Anyway, here's a piece of important information. I think that we overcomplicate it. Yeah. You know, when we're kids, we don't send kids to the gym to exercise for an hour every day. We send them outside to play.
Yep.
And as we get older, we lose that. And so I think that if we just take it back to the basics, like we need to play, you know, and then as we get older, playing oftentimes turns to practice, right? We get involved with sports or different things. And so then we practice the things that we want to get better at. And then that, in addition, turns into training, which then we're at the gym, you know, we're training a specific body part, or we're training for a specific purpose, an event or something that we have going on. But play to practice to training is kind of like the route I think that just movement kind of goes through. And I think that sometimes as adults, we need to go back to the basics and go back to playing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like going out in your yard and kicking a ball or whatever, but what is fun to you? Like, what do you enjoy doing? Do you like gardening? Then go outside and garden. Like, that is movement. That's moving your bodies. You're getting your hands dirty. You're pushing a wheelbarrow. You're lifting big bags of dirt. All those things, they count. That's movement and that's exercise. And I do think that just going back to those basics, the things that we teach our kids, you know, I don't necessarily want my kids to be athletes, but I want them to be athletic.
Yeah.
And all that means I want them to feel comfortable in their skin, moving their bodies in a way where they feel strong and competent to do the things that they want to do. And then, you know, I think that also coaching our kids through those things is really good for us too. Like, for example, my daughter, she's Hi, Betsy. This is Betsy. She's right here. We have a trampoline at our house, and she's really, really good at front flips and handsprings and cartwheels. Hi, Betsy, sweet girl. But she was really scared of doing a backflip. Like, that was really scary to her. And so she would go out every day, and she's practicing and practicing and practicing. It started out as play on the trampoline, right? She's playing, and then she's like, I really want to get a backflip. So she practiced. It was hard. She went out there day after day. Tyler was out there with her. Finally, she got it. And now, like, she can do it, like, on command, like, whenever she wants to. And so now that play has turned into practice, which has turned into training. So now that she's got it down, she can push beyond that to the next.
Bets down.
She's a good girl. I'm glad she likes me, because the chihuahua that she has
I do
doesn't
not
like
have
me.
a chihuahua. Not that there's anything wrong with chihuahuas.
Anyway, so I think that just going back to the basics, finding something you enjoy doing, and then doing that. And then, oftentimes that'll spark something that'll take you to the next level, whether that's practice or training or whatever.
And I also even want to take it a step further back than that. And we do have a lot of nuts and bolts to get through that we'll get to. But I think that so often people spend so much of their energy and time exercising because of a specific goal. And yes, exercise is important. Movement is important. But more importantly, you've got to dial in your nutrition first. Yeah. Like, if we don't appropriately fuel ourselves, then one, our workouts can be a waste. But two, like, if we're talking aesthetics purely, which there's so much more than the aesthetics, but if we're strictly talking aesthetics, it really is like 80% nutrition, 20% the other stuff, exercise being one of them. And if you have certain goals of like muscle tone and things like that, like, of course, resistance training is going to be important, and we're going to talk about that. But, you hear, and I've always loved this saying, you cannot exercise your way out of a bad fork. And it's so true. First, like, keep it simple. If you try to do too many things out of the gate, you're going to be less likely to succeed at all of them.
At any of them.
That's statistically proven.
Yeah.
Like, if you try to try too many things at one given time, like, you have to have a starting point. And so if you're not already understanding the importance of good fuel, good whole food, and knowing how to fuel your body, using things like macros to reach your goals, I would absolutely say to start there. Like, getting your gut and your nervous system in check and then adding exercise is huge.
Yeah.
If you've done that, then adding exercise will absolutely get you further. But it's so important, I think, to really understand the foundation first. Mm-hmm. Also, like, there's so much more to it. Like, if you are in a super high stressed, maybe adrenal fatigue, central nervous system dysfunction, like, if you're doing the wrong type of exercise too much, and this was me for a long time, you're actually damaging yourself versus helping yourself. So it's really breaking it down. And also, to expand upon what Haley said in terms of play, we haven't talked about this here too much, but my husband and I own a parkour and a jiu-jitsu gym, and we do things like functional fitness. So Haley and I actually each teach an early morning functional fitness class. So
if you're ever bored in the morning,
and you're in Southern Oregon,
we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do. And I say that because it's not like we're just like jumping on and talking about exercise. Like, exercise has been a big part of both of our lives for a long time, but especially fun, playful exercise. So our class is functional fitness. Like, we really want to be functional as we age so that we're avoiding injury, and that at any given time we can just pick up and go out and do exactly what we want. We can adventure, we can backpack, we can hike, we can rappel, we can do whatever. I want to do that right now.
We are working.
I know. We are.
We have worlds to conquer.
But I just think finding something, like Haley said, that, like, and that's why we do like parkour and jiu-jitsu. Like, kids innately know, like, oftentimes, like, how to push, how to move, how to fall. Like, as we get older, we stop knowing the functional purpose of, like, how to take a fall, like, how to, like, and those things are important. So we will start from ground zero. And I started to get into this, and then we segued. But I think the two take-homes so far are, foundationally first, if your nutrition is not in check and your nervous system is, like, shot, you gotta get those down first before you introduce a significant exercise program. movement is always a good thing. Yeah. But I just think that that's really, really important to share.
Well, yeah, if you're not fueling your body properly, then you're not going to be able to perform well anyway. And so then it's almost a moot point, you know? Like, I know when I don't fuel myself properly and I get up and go to the gym in the morning and then I feel horrible, you know, the movements don't feel good and I feel like I'm out of it. Like, I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people, they just, you know, they think, well, I need to start exercising. So they go to a gym and maybe this is something that we'll talk about a little bit later, but you go to a gym and there's all these machines and you don't really know what to do and you don't necessarily know what exercises are going to get you to your goals. And so you just go in and you're just in the gym for time, right? You're in there for an hour or whatever, and you're not necessarily taking advantage of that time to do what you need to do to hit your goals. And so anyway, just going to the gym to go to the gym to check off the exercise box off your list is not what we're talking about. Like,
and I would love to give you a tangible example because
do it.
You know, both Haley and I have shared this. Like we had done all the things. I've worked out my entire life, and I've worked out hard, but I could never achieve some of the results that I wanted to, and I just kept like pushing it. And wanted that I wanted to.
That one actually doesn't have two T's.
I know.
Anyway. Sorry.
And you know, I had eaten pretty clean, non-inflammatory, all the things. It wasn't until I really understood and utilized macros to my benefit that I was able to like pretty quickly, and I saw this in Haley too, like increase my strength, increase my endurance, increase my speed, have things like pull-ups come easier because I was fueling my muscle for how I wanted to utilize it. And I was shifting my composition in a way that actually benefited me for the things, I'm sorry for that, benefited the things that I wanted to do. And so, like, we hike a ton, and, like, I feel like, for the most part, like, I can just go, and I'm so thankful for that because I don't have to train before we go out on a big thing. Like, I'm trail ready. Yeah. Could I always be better? Sure. Like, is there things that I still want to achieve physically that I haven't yet gotten to yet? Absolutely. Is training with specificity a part of that? For sure. But nutrition was the biggest shift for me. Absolutely. And making the biggest jump for me in terms of my functionality.
Hands down. Without question.
Like, this girl is so much stronger than she used to be.
Oh my gosh.
It's so cool.
So much stronger. And I feel so much better too. Like I was saying, going to the gym properly fueled changes everything. Changes the game. Yeah. Completely. 100%.
And even if, like, the physical changes are not what's motivating you, I'm just going to read this list real fast because these are some of the benefits
got a long list.
That exercise, well, just this part.
Okay.
That exercise can do for you. It can improve your mood.
Amen.
And, I mean,
story time.
Yeah.
Story time. So I spent all weekend driving. I was like up and down I-5 literally for 24 hours, just driving. Okay, that maybe is a little bit of an exaggeration, but I was driving a lot. And so I didn't get proper movement in on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And I was like, it was terrible. I was really grumpy.
Can you guys hear us? There's a really loud mower in the background.
It's not that loud.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
They can hear us.
Sounds good.
Anyway, so I was just pretty grumpy this morning. I got a great night's sleep. I got out of bed. I was going to the gym, but I was grumpy. And I was like, man, I don't know what's going to get me out of this funk. And we had a great workout this morning. And man, it was nothing crazy. It was nothing like, I don't know. It was just like a regular workout for a Monday morning. And after it was over, I felt 1,000 times better. My grumpy was gone, and I just had a light bounce in my step. It just really changed my mood. Yeah. It made me feel better.
It really does. I mean, honestly, what it does from a neurotransmitter standpoint, we go back to the gut and the nervous system. Like, we need those neurotransmitters to be our best self. Like, there's so much research in terms of the benefits between exercise and mood.
And you ignite all these chemicals in your body when you move, and especially when you push yourself a little bit further than is comfortable. It's just exactly like we've talked about it before, like hot and cold therapy. Like, you're uncomfortable. We have to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because when you push yourself the right amount past comfort, then when it's all over, you are like, man, I can conquer the world.
But that said, we're going to get into first recognizing if you're at a place where your nervous system is ready to have that kind of exercise. Because if you are truly experiencing adrenal fatigue and your central nervous system is taxed to the max, there are some things that you need to do before you really jump into hard exercise. Okay, so we talked about one benefit. There's so many more. So so far, like mood, it's huge, the association between exercise and improved mood. Obviously, we've talked about body transformation, and that can be huge to help you get towards your goals and just make you more confident in your own skin. Exercise helps you improve your nutrient uptake. What does that mean? It basically means that if you are fueling your body with the macronutrients like carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, when you're moving your body and what is happening through your circulatory system and from a cellular standpoint, your body can actually pull out those micronutrients from your food to allow you to have better nutrient absorption so that you can utilize the fuel in your food to a better capacity. That's like the nutshell version. I did it quick.
You did a good job. I'm really proud of you.
I have long explanations.
Yeah,
usually.
In other words, the more you exercise, the more nutrients your body absorbs.
Perfect. That's even better. We talk about sleep a ton, and exercise has a profound effect on your deep restorative sleep. If you're moving your body, once again, there's a place to start that's healthy for everybody, and it's different for everyone. But when you are moving your body, it allows, oftentimes, depending on the time that you're exercising, it allows you to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system faster at night when you go to rest, which is going to allow you to get into a deeper, more restorative sleep faster and get more deep sleep and more REM sleep, which is really when your cells renew themselves. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about the difference between your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system, because we're going to do a whole nother live on this, but that parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest, is so important to get into. So right now we're talking about movement. Maybe next week we'll talk about rest and recovery, because it's also super
important.
Duper important.
Yeah, if you're moving your body, you need to rest and recover. Otherwise, the exercise that you're doing is not helping you.
It's so true. Okay, so we've talked about the improvement in mood. We've talked about body transformation. We've talked about improvement in nutrient uptake. We've talked about improvement in sleep. It can help your immune system. Like, we talk so much about like whole body health and longevity, and exercise is one of the best things you can do to help build your immune system. There's a lot. There's a lot of other things you can do too. Obviously, nutrition plays a huge role in that, but consistent movement really helps you to strengthen. We talk about that like shield and that sphere. It helps build your immune. Now, if you're overtaxing yourself, it can do the opposite.
Yeah,
so
and not resting and recovering the way you should, then you are actually damaging your immune system, which is no good. It's a very fine balance.
Yeah, I was terrible at it for a long time.
A long time. Well, and just to piggyback on that for a minute, I think this is important because I think a lot of people feel this way. If you are the kind of person who has an exercise program and you have exercised for a long time, it's really easy to fall into the trap of feeling shame or guilt for missing a workout. So, for example, I didn't exercise on Friday, I needed to rest. I felt like maybe I was coming down with something, and so I wanted to get a little bit of extra sleep, and so I allowed myself to sleep. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Drink that.
I know.
And so what ended up happening was I guilted myself all day on Friday. I was like, man, why didn't I get up and work out, and what a waste, and I was just kind of grumpy about it, and then that kind of transferred into the weekend also. And so it's really difficult sometimes to set aside that time to rest when you are regimented, right? Yeah, there's somebody who's saying rest days are hard for me to take. Yeah. I have made it so, like, right now my schedule is Monday through Friday. I exercise 5 days a week, and then at least one of the days, Saturday or Sunday, I have to rest. I don't even allow myself to like do a workout. And when I say rest, I'm not like laying in my bed all day long doing nothing. Like I may go for a walk, or I may do some gardening or planting flowers or things like that. Like there's definitely still movement involved, but I'm not taxing my body the same way that I do during the week. I don't want that.
Sorry, I got cold.
And so anyway, I think that it's really important. There's no shame if you need to miss a workout because you're not feeling well or because your body needs to rest and recover. No shame. You got to quit the shame game and quit blaming yourself for missing a workout, because sometimes that's what our body needs in order to push to the next level.
Yeah, I totally agree.
We'll talk more about that maybe next week too.
So far we've got improvement in mood, body transformation, nutrient uptake, sleep, immune system, energy. We can talk about this all day long. I know it seems counterintuitive to some, but you start moving your body, especially and workout timing is different for everybody. It really depends on your schedule. It depends on your body type. Actually, there's a big part of that. It depends on your like natural energy levels, all of those things, but it really does increase your energy output for the remainder of the day. I start my day with my workout. Not everybody can do that. I have to do it before my family wakes up. And on the days that I don't do that, I have way less energy. It's really interesting. And there's a ton of clinical research out there too that really shows energy output in association with body movement.
Well, and I think that it's also, you know, when we don't exercise, then all of a sudden that motivation kind of goes down. You know what I mean? Like we talk about motivation versus discipline a lot, and how you need to be disciplined. You need to rely on your discipline before you rely on motivation. But I think on the days when I don't get to the gym during the week, then those are the days where I feel kind of sluggish. I don't have the energy or the motivation to actually do the things that I need to get done often.
Yeah. So, yep.
Move your body.
Move your body. Okay, and if all of that wasn't enough, if you are interested in longevity, in living longer, healthier, more fulfilling life,
I do.
Then you should exercise, because from a cellular recovery standpoint, a cell turnover standpoint, when you are exercising, your body is going to turn those cells over faster. You are going to have likely healthier organs, better circulatory system, better nervous system, better immune system, better endocrine system,
better body,
better skin, hair, nails, all the things. Now, nutrition has even more to do with it than that. And then also just the rest and recovery component, natural sunshine, hydration, all the things. It really doesn't have to be overcomplicated. But we do want to jump into some of the nitty gritty. We had a question over here. Does doing your workouts at night affect your sleep then? For me personally, yes. But that's not true for everybody. So it really depends. Like if I work out hard too late in the day, my brain is super stimulated and I have a hard time getting into that deeper sleep faster. For some people, and they've trained their body to do this, they can work out at night. They can, depending on the time they eat. I think for me, the eating has just as much to do with it. I try not to eat anything 2 to 3 hours before I go to bed. Otherwise, the digestion can disrupt my deep sleep. And so, but exercise, if I'm doing like low intensity steady state, so something where I keep my heart rate a little bit lower, it has no disruption to my sleep. But if I'm doing something that is high intensity, it can have a disruption in my sleep if I do it too late in the day. That's not true for everybody though.
Yeah, I would say if you're struggling with your sleep and you do exercise in the evening, try working out in the morning and see if that changes things for you. I think it also depends on what kind of exercise you're doing. If you're lifting weights and doing primarily resistance training, some people are able to sleep better if they do that in the evening than in the morning times. But like Emmy said, if you're doing something that's more high intensity, a little bit more cardio based in the evening, then you get those exercise endorphins often, and then sometimes it will be more difficult for you to sleep. Yeah. I find that if I don't exercise in the morning, then I don't exercise, because the day happens, my kids need me, all the things in life happen, and then I just don't have time in the evening to do it. So timing wise for me, the mornings work out great. Yeah. Before anybody is awake in my house.
Over on the Facebook side, John said, "Love the water bottle." Thank you. This has always been my favorite. I don't know if you're talking to Haley or me, but
he's talking to us. But
okay, well, this has always actually been my favorite. It's the Stanley. They're out of stock right now. They're hard to find. You can get them on REI.
It is not a leak-proof lid. When you tip this thing over in your car, it spills everywhere. Just
this one is leak-proof. It's not as big of capacity, but I also love this one because I spill this one all the time.
Does that fit in your cup holder?
It does. It fits in my cup holder in my car. This one is a brewmate, and it does keep the ice cold all day long. I actually bought this for my husband, but it was a little bit more feminine than I thought it was going to be, and I love it.
Yeah, so right. She bought it for herself under the guise of buying it for her hubs.
I did. I thought it would be good in his tractor, but oops.
It's actually better in her hand.
It sure is. Okay. So we just talked about the benefits. So now let's get into the nitty gritty. And if you guys have questions, and actually some of you that are on here, we did see your questions come in prior to this. And so we will absolutely get to those. So thank you so much for sending questions in. But if you guys have questions that you didn't put in the box earlier, like anytime, feel free to put them in the comment section and we'll do our best to get them answered. And so I just wrote down on here, like, who needs it? Honestly, everybody needs movement, but we've already talked a little bit about where to start. And so if you have not yet dialed in your nutrition and or you have a super taxed nervous system and you don't understand how to utilize your parasympathetic nervous system, I would start there and at least be moving your body. So I think the first thing that everybody can do is move their body every day, like really working to get at least 10,000 steps in a day. It doesn't have to be that hard to do that. And then if you go beyond that, and I want to talk about the central nervous system here for just a second.
Well, hold on. Let's talk to, because I think there's a few different categories of people. I think that there are people who, you know, have exercised every day for a long time or for years and years where it's really normal. This is like preaching to the choir, I think, in a lot of ways for some people. But then there's people who, you know, who didn't have the upbringings that we did and didn't move their bodies or weren't involved in sports as kids and just have never been interested in that. And I think that there's a lot of people who spend a lot of time like in front of a computer, you know, with a real sedentary life. And so the thought of like going to a gym could be really intimidating. We're not saying like sign up for a gym membership and do that. Really, all we want you to do is start moving a little bit more than what you're currently doing. So we actually have a challenge with our clients right now. It's a May movement challenge where we just want you to increase your step count by like 20%. So if you are walking, you know, regular 4,000 on average, 4,000 steps a day, like increase that by 2,000 steps. Like try to get 6,000 steps in a day. If you're already moving your body and getting 10,000 steps a day, try to bump that to 15,000 steps a day. Really, it's just taking the first step. And so like if you're a sedentary person, just start getting up, set an alarm on your watch or on your computer for every hour and get up and just move. Just do a lap around your office or around your room or wherever you're at. Go outside if you can. I know on the days when I'm in front of my computer a lot, my watch will remind me, get up and move. It's time to stand up. And I'll do some jumping jacks or some squats or just go for a quick walk and come back. But all of those little things make a big difference in the end. So if you can stack some little things into your day to allow you to have more movement, in the end it turns into a lot. You know, park further away at the grocery store. That's super simple. I know, you know, people will drive around and do laps looking for a really close parking spot at the grocery store, and I always chuckle because I'm like, I'll park way back in the back of the parking lot and walk in, and I'll still see a car. I'm like, man, I'm in and out of the grocery store and they're still looking for a close parking spot. So anyway, do yourself a little bit of a service and park farther away. Just get up and move.
And we recognize, like, just to piggyback on what Haley said, there's like this whole spectrum probably joining us right now of those that are not moving a lot and those that are moving a lot and maybe have questions about like how to really dial it in to be able to get the best bang for their energy credit, really, is what it comes down to. And so I do think the first thing is truly, well, after you've understood nutrition, have a foundation and understand your nervous system. So it's like gut, nervous system first. Then really moving into the movement piece, like first just moving your body, like moving your body every single day. That doesn't mean pushing yourself in a hard workout every day. It just means simply moving your body. If you don't have a step counter, if you can, sometimes people are shocked at how little they're moving their bodies. And when I say strive for 10,000 steps, like Haley said, it's different for everybody. But if you can systematically increase that by like 1,000 steps month over month, it can make such a huge difference over time. And it doesn't just come down to steps. There's so many other things, but that's the first best thing everybody can do is just simply move your body more.
Yeah. And everybody can do it, you know. I mean, not everybody, but the majority of people on the planet can get up and move, can get up and walk at least.
Now, if you are sitting there, and this is a lot of our clients, and have the goal, if we're strictly talking aesthetics, which, you know, there's all the other goals of, you know, energy and brain health and all of that. But if we're strictly talking aesthetics, we have a lot of people, because we want to know this, because this is important to a lot of people, and body composition is important to you, and you want to see lean muscle mass. Now, you are not going to have the appearance of lean muscle mass with physical muscle if you don't, one, first dial in your nutrition, and two, do resistance training. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I do want to just talk about the nervous system a little bit before we jump into workout specifics.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So I think it's really important because there's a lot of people, and maybe not any of you that are watching this, but there is a lot of people that are walking around constantly fatigued, and they have like burnt their adrenal system out. And if they jump into a really rigorous exercise program without first fixing what's happening within their nervous system, you're going to do yourself a disservice. So of course, like, we're not trying to take the place of your medical provider by any means, but I do think that there's a couple of things that you can be aware of to start to evaluate, so that you can see, like, if you feel like you're constantly stressed, and that your body's plateauing, and that you're constantly fatigued, and that you just can't pull that energy credit from anywhere. Some of the things that you can look at, like for the central nervous system, fatigue is one of the words for it. Adrenal fatigue is another word for it. I think it's really important to self-evaluate.
Let's break down fatigue for just a minute too. Because I think that word gets thrown around a lot. But like, if you're truly fatigued, if you're waking up, if it is hard for you to get out of bed in the mornings, if you just feel like you have no like oomph behind you to like push you through the day, and not only just being tired, but like your body feels heavy, your body is like it's just hard. Like life and time and days are just hard from like morning till night. Like, that's fatigue, you know? Not just, we can all get brain fatigue where like, I get that way sometimes. I'm like, I do not want to answer another question. I don't want to make another decision. Like, my brain is super fatigued, but like physical fatigue is different. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, I think one thing, and this can also have something to do with your thyroid, but one easy way to start seeing if maybe this is you, and this isn't definitive, but this is one tool, is take your temperature when you first wake up in the morning. If you are consistently at like 96, 97 degrees, then your like basal metabolic temperature is running low. You might be experiencing CNS, which is that central nervous system fatigue.
CNS, I didn't know that.
CNS is central nervous system, so CNSF is central nervous system fatigue.
CNSF, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks. I just learned something.
Yeah. And then another thing is, and if you're like at 96, you're probably like deep into your parasympathetic potentially at that point. Your temperature drops that low. That's something to really pay attention to, and definitely talk with your healthcare provider about it. But tracking your temperature is a really good way to see, because that's one of like the cardinal signs. Cardinal signs? Cardinal? That doesn't sound right. It's an important sign.
Important sign.
And there's tools to do that. Like, Haley and I both wear an Oura ring, and it tracks everything for us. And so it's tracking my body temperature, it's tracking my respiratory rate, it's tracking my heart rate, it's tracking my HRV, it's tracking my deep sleep and my REM sleep and my readiness for workouts, like all the things, so I can really see what's affecting me. And it's been super instrumental. But there are times that my body temperature like is dipping and consistently staying lower, and then there's times, especially, and this might be TMI for some of you guys that are watching, but like the week leading up to my period, my temperature increases by almost 0.1 to 0.2 degrees day over day. And so it's just the hormonal aspect has a huge impact on temperature, but I'm rabbit trailing. So
I was just gonna pull you back in.
The other thing is if your blood pressure is significantly low, and that's different for everybody. Like, low for you need to know what your baseline is.
Mine is low
upon waking. Like, if it's lower upon waking, so my blood pressure is lowest within the first 30 minutes of me going to sleep, which is also when I get into my deep sleep. If yours is low when you're waking up in comparison, that's something to pay attention to in terms of your central nervous system fatigue. Just something to pay, and we're going a little deep here, but I think that these are just good tools to know, because it can help you identify if you truly have a taxed nervous system. We got to fix that first before you jump into hard exercise. And then, another thing is just if your natural heart rate, your resting heart rate is like 75 or higher, you got to really pay attention to that. There's some things going on. So my resting heart rate's pretty low. It's like 47 to 53, somewhere in there.
Same, mine is too.
Yeah, look that. But you
low
just
heart
pay
rate,
attention to that.
Yeah.
And don't just take a one-time measurement and then be worried. It's thank you. It's so I'm really bad about that. It's something
you would make a good teacher. You sit down. Are you listening to me? Sorry.
It's no, for real. She is a teacher.
I try not to do this. Maybe at you.
Yeah. Anyways, just a few things to pay attention to. So if none of that is the case, and so let me actually start with that. If those things are the case, really trying to understand, and this is something that we're going to get into in a future live, is really being able to recognize and tap into your parasympathetic nervous system so that you truly can rest, digest, and relax. Because if you're not doing that, your body is not appropriately recovering. You're not going to get the best benefit from nutrient uptake from your nutrition or the outcomes that you need from your workouts. If you are living in a constant state of unhealthy stress, there are some things that you can do to start shifting that. I know you can't change everything in your environment. We can't either. But there are some things that you can do to really, really make a difference in how your body is responding and your stress resilience. We've done a live on that actually last week.
No.
We've done
a live. It was a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Stress resilience, I think, is what it was called. We talked about being stress resilient. And that's really important because we can't control the stress that happens in our lives. Here's a good story. This morning, see, I'm really distracted today. This morning, I was coming out of the gym door because we do like a little 1 mile run to warm up, and I was coming out the gym door, and Emmy was coming in. Like at the exact same second, and I was coming out, and I scared her. I just went
big time,
and she squealed. Oh my goodness, she squealed like a 2-year-old.
Took me forever to recover. Yeah. I hate that shot of cortisol. I hate it because I don't want it's so funny, and they scare me all the time. I'm a little too jumpy. Actually,
and we do it because she's jumpy, and it's really funny.
Her husband did it at the top of the warp wall. Like, I'm coming over the warp wall, and he pops up, and he's so, I could have fallen backwards.
She's real strong. She was hanging on tight. Anyway, we're not mean about it. It's just fun. Anyway, poor girl's parasympathetic nervous system was in overdrive.
My sympathetic nervous
system was in overdrive.
But anyways, I
just wanted her to burn a few more calories this morning.
I probably stored fat thanks to her
cortisol jolt.
Okay, guys. So we've talked about the benefits of exercise. We've talked about being careful about jumping in too soon before you have your nutrition dialed in, before you have your nervous system understood with a good plan there. We've talked about the importance of simply moving your body and starting with walking. Now, I think the biggest misconception is we have so many people that come to us that are doing a ton of cardio.
Only cardio.
And they're not seeing the change that they want. And here's the thing. You can do cardio all day long, and that is not going to build muscle. And so if muscle is so important for longevity, for strength, and for body composition.
And it's actually like your muscular skeletal system, especially as females, as we get older and our bones start not taking in the proper amount of nutrients and osteoporosis becomes a thing, having strong muscles is really the framework, inside that is going to keep our muscular system and our skeletal system strong. So we want to make sure that we are doing resistance training, weightlifting, keeping our muscles strong, because not only does it look nice on the outside, but it looks nice on the inside.
It does. And so if your goal is really anything to do with improved strength, and or if we're talking strictly aesthetics, if you want a lean toned look, you have to do resistance training, which means some form of weightlifting. And I just want to say, there's all these influencers out there, and some of them have great information, but you see all these fancy, tricky workouts online, and it's oh man, I want that. And you think you have to do all this. You gotta
buy all these machines and buy all these really expensive bikes and
honestly,
treadmills.
It looks good, and so that's why they do it, because it's gets people's attention, but it's really going back to basics. If you are doing resistance training, one, really understanding appropriate form and getting on a regimen where you are working your muscle groups. You can do splits, you can do it all together, but you're going to want to work each.
I'm do the splits. I'm I can't do the splits. Yeah, I got it.
Splits.
It took me a minute, but I was do this one. We've never talked about doing the splits.
I know. But you're going to want to work each muscle group if you're truly looking to build muscle and you're looking for improved composition from a muscular visibility standpoint, you're going to want to work each muscle group at least 2 to 3 times a week, and you're going to want to space those by about 48 hours.
Because your body needs to rest. It needs to recover. It needs to heal the muscles that you are pushing, right? Because we've talked about it before. Weightlifting, exercise, it's a stressor on our body. It's a good stressor. But when we do that, we need to allow our bodies the proper amount of time to rest and recover in order to build those muscles to push them again the next time.
And you got to get the push-pull functionality in. And so we're not going to get into that too much, but like we're talking about push-pull and hinging. Like it comes back to basics. You're going to need to be squatting. You're going to need to be pressing. You know, all of the basics. And we could break it down. It's a little bit different for everybody. We did have a question that came in that said, what type of program should they be doing for strength training? And, you know, without doing an assessment, I think that, you know, we'd need to know what your skill level is.
What are your goals?
What are your goals?
What's
what
your
are you
mobility?
Like, what equipment do you have available to you? Because all of this can be achieved at home or in the gym. It doesn't have to take a ton of fancy equipment, but you can start with body weight and then you would increase from there. But it's really going to be breaking it down so that you are working every muscle group 2 to 3 times at minimum per week, spaced by 48 hours. And so that's the basics. And there's a lot of different, and we can even share one. Our hesitation with sharing a standard workout is it's not a one size fits all. I think we should talk about Sarah.
You want to? Yeah. Okay. We have a secret.
We have a secret.
Actually, I think Emmy spilled the beans last week.
I did.
Did you mention her by name?
I don't know.
We're going to.
We're going to. Should I talk about it, or do you want to?
Well, why don't we both?
Okay.
Why don't I say a couple things, because you and I have a different perspective.
Yep. Perfect.
We're just hashing this out now, right in front of you guys.
Yeah.
So we will tell you. So one thing about Macro Mavens, what Emmy and I have created is, first and foremost, and this is our foundation. Nutrition is our foundation, right? And so everything that we do with our clients, we first tackle nutrition. A lot of times our clients come to us and they're like, I want this, I want this, and I want this. And part of that is nutrition, part of that is exercise, fitness, all the things, right? Well, the first thing, just like we talked about, foundationally, we are going to get nutrition under control before we move into movement and exercise. So we have wanted to incorporate some kind of a fitness program within Macro Mavens that we can provide our clients.
Regardless of where they live.
Regardless of where they live, regardless of their ability level, regardless of all of the things. We want to be able to take somebody who stays on the couch all day watching soap operas into a fitness routine, or have somebody who is like a performance athlete and push them to the next level. And so what we did, and what we think is really cool, because we wanted somebody who knows this world better than we do, and so we wrapped.
And we are personal trainers, like certified group fitness trainers. I own a gym, like all the things. But there are people out there that like their whole world is mobility, movement, like in a whole spectrum, like incorporating breath and cycle and like all of that.
So we were like, well, if we could pick a coach to have in our lives to coach us, right? Who would we want to be our fitness coach? And so we picked the one we wanted, and
like the best in the world.
Okay, so her name, we'll say it at the same time, yeah. Her name is Sarah Lugman. She is a dear friend to both of us. You may have heard of her. She has been a part of the CrossFit world for a long time. She's a CrossFit athlete. She is an
we're getting so many hearts over here.
She's an amazing human being. She makes me want to be a better person every single time I'm with her, because she has this like grounding ability to the way she speaks to you, and I'm like, man, I just want to be like her. And she has this ability to push you physically to places that you didn't think you could go. And so we are beyond excited to have Sarah a part of the Macro Mavens family. We're super excited to have her, to introduce her to our Macro Mavens family, and to have her kind of do her thing with us. So,
and even though like part of her background was as a, like, what would you call that, an international CrossFit competitor?
She is super badass, you guys.
Yeah, she is, but she has taught all over the world, literally, probably in every continent, really incorporating the parasympathetic nervous system, breath work, mobility, appropriate movement, and she has this entire assessment process that she goes through to really understand a good starting point. And what will be so cool is, even though we do challenges and we work with our clients right now on moving, it'll be a stackable program. So if somebody only wants to do nutrition and like our challenges and our general movement, great. If they want to stack the fitness component on there, they can, and she will do an individualized phased program for that person from their starting point that really helps them dial in that part. Once again, we still feel like nutrition is absolutely the foundation. It has to be, but having somebody like her that can provide that, we're so excited. So we're working on the whole back end because it's being built out in our app, and that's going to take a little bit. So it's a little premature.
It's coming.
But it's coming. We're so excited.
Yeah, and she's on board and super excited, and we honestly... She lives in Hawaii, and so we're like, well, we should probably go visit her and like have a meeting of some sort. So maybe we'll do a live at some point.
Yeah, and have her in.
Yeah,
and she has great information. Rachel on the Facebook site over here said, I started following her after seeing M's trip to visit her in Hawaii, and I love her content on social media. Very informative. Yeah. I'm so glad she is. Like, she just is a wealth of knowledge, and she's a dear friend. She's one of my adventure buddies. We love to do hard things together, and we're so excited.
So excited. Go follow her on Instagram. Sarah Lugman, I think is her handle. She shares tons of incredible content. Yeah. She is I just love her.
And we didn't intend to talk about that today, but since we're talking all things movement and exercise, I think it's important for us to note that we're bringing on this whole other branch of Macro Mavens that we're really excited about.
And movement experts, really. I mean, Emmy and I, we can sit up here and talk about all the things that we know and we love, but like, she's really a wealth of knowledge.
A true movement expert.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so thank you for letting us side trail there. We have more questions from you guys that we want to get into, but so far we have talked about all of the benefits of movement and exercise, but first dialing in the nutrition. You can't exercise your way out of a bad fork. And then also really understanding the impact to your nervous system. So getting your nervous system in check so that you're not taking somebody that has maybe adrenal fatigue, also known as central nervous system fatigue, and then jumping into really hard workouts and taxing yourself further. There's some really, really dangerous outcomes that can come from that. Then it's depending on where you're starting, simply moving your body every single day, working yourself up week over week by like 1,000 more steps to 10,000 steps a day or beyond. Then if one of your goals is muscle visibility, strength, toning, body composition shifts, you have to be doing resistance training. So we talked about ideally you would be working every muscle group 2 to 3 times a day, 48 hours apart.
Wait.
I'm sorry, 2 to 3 times a week.
Like, that's a lot of time.
48 hours apart. So and there's a lot of different ways to do that. And it's keeping it simple. Like, you don't have to do all the fancy stuff you see online, on Instagram, whatever it is. It's going back to basics of your push, your pulls, your hinges. So all the basic lifts, but first understanding and really knowing how to appropriately lift so that you can avoid injury.
Yeah, so find somebody. If this is something where you're like, man, I really should start this, find somebody who's an expert. Go to a gym, get a personal trainer. Most gyms, if you sign up at a gym, if you go to a qualified gym, they will have somebody there to show you the proper movements. Yeah. They don't want anybody getting injured. So make sure that you know what you're doing. Also, like, mobility and stability are two big things. If you don't have great mobility and or stability, then some of these movements sorry, it's getting wild over here, the dogs. Then some of those movements are going to be difficult for you. So make sure that you're not going to do something that's going to injure you. And I think and maybe we're going to get into this in a minute, but I want to talk about failure for just a second. So, and I'll use myself as an example. So before, we'll just back up a little bit. So in high school,
lots of story time today. I love it.
Yeah. So back in high school, so I was a high school athlete, and then I did some intramural stuff in college too. And a lot of times we were left in the weight room and kind of to do whatever we wanted to do. We didn't really know what we were doing. And I remember several times in high school and college, like working out to failure. And what failure meant to me is way different than what it means to me now. Yeah. So then failure was like, okay, I'm going to do bench press, right? I'm going to do it until I cannot push the bar any further. Like that was failure to me. Now, failure means something totally different. And I think that it's such a healthier spot to be. Failure to me now is when I cannot do the movement properly. So even though I could force the bar, over or above my chest, I could keep going. But as soon as that movement becomes like not proper, that is failure.
Yeah.
And I think that, oftentimes we'll go to the gym, and if we don't know like a deadlift or a squat or whatever exercise you're doing, a curl, and we think I need to do this till failure till I cannot do another rep.
Your elbows out,
you start doing your stuff, and then you get injured, and you're like, man, I'm always injured at the gym. Well, I would love it if people across the board change their mindset from like failure being the last rep that I can actually do. It should be the last rep you can do with proper form.
Yep.
If you're starting to like move or tweak or do something, then you need to stop right there. So anyway, I just needed to put that out there because there's a lot of people going to the gym, doing exercises to failure and ending up injured all the time. And it's just not worth it.
It's not. I also think another misconception, especially for females, is they're so worried that if you start lifting, you're going to look like a man. And here's the thing, like it would take you eating an insane amount of protein, being in a surplus, a caloric surplus, and
which isn't super comfortable, guys.
It's not. And lifting a ton of weights super often. And even at that, most females still wouldn't be able to get the muscle gains to start like that tipping point, which is a little bit different for everybody. What muscle does is we've already talked about this a little bit, but it's so protective for your health, and it helps you burn more calories. So your base metabolic rate will go up with muscle. You do have to know, like your weight might shift, but your volume, so people will say muscle weighs more than fat. Well, it doesn't weigh more, but 5 pounds of fat
takes up way more space.
It's much more volume than 5 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
And that's something, like I have 2 pictures, I've talked about this before, of myself at the exact same weight with 2 entirely different body compositions. And so that's why having a lot of different data points, not just the scale. It got really bright all of a sudden.
Bright, sorry.
And we have the red umbrella, so we're a little discolored, but
we just look really tan.
Ooh. So not just the scale.
Summer.
Like it's so important to be taking pictures and looking at composition shifts, if that's a goal of yours, to be taking your measurements, to be tuned into how your clothes are fitting, to be tuned into your energy levels. Is your sleep improving? Do you feel like you have better hormonal balance, better mood stability? Like those data points are all super important. And so you cannot go by the scale alone, especially if you're starting a new workout regimen. It's really important. And for me too, even day over day, the days, I actually weigh less. Like if I take, let's say 2 days off of any type of like resistance training, I will weigh less. And it's not because I've lost fat. It's because my body is restored and I don't have the acute inflammation in my muscle fibers that are holding water. That doesn't mean I've lost fat. It just means, so I say that because if you're lifting and suddenly you step on the scale the next day and you're sore and you're a lot heavier, like don't let it defeat you. Your body's just holding water. Like it's natural. That's good. It needs it for recovery.
Amen.
So, I'm getting on my soapbox here, but it's really easy to get hung up on the scale, and it is one data point, and we still even struggle with this sometimes. And there's so much more than the number on the scale. It's like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling fueled? Are you feeling strong? Are you making physical, are you working towards your goal? All of the things.
Yeah, we had a question. I'm going to just scroll for a second.
Yeah.
John asked a question. Can you speak on the importance of changing the activity type when you adapt or plateau? Is it important? I do jits almost exclusively. So yeah, I think that Emmy and I both have something to say about this. Yeah, our bodies are really smart. And so when we get into a routine and we're doing the same thing over and over, our bodies know what to expect, right? And so it's when we mix things up. So like if you find, John, that you're like in a plateau and you feel like maybe it's because you're just doing the same exercise day after day after day. Although jits is a little bit different because the movement is not like the same movement every single time. So I would say that that's maybe a little bit different. But if you're going to the gym and you're exercising the same muscle group the same way every day, then eventually you're going to hit a plateau. You got to change something, right? It's that saying of doing the same thing and expecting a different result is the definition of crazy.
Insanity.
Thank you. Same diff-ish.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think that having some variation in the types of movement that you're doing in order to get to your goals is a great idea. And I think that that's why, a lot of people really enjoy like going to a gym or going to a class where things are different, where they're mixing things up a lot, where there's a lot of variety is important. And it's also I think that it's good for our brains. We go to the gym, you do the same movement over and over and over again, and you get bored. And then pretty soon you're like, I'd rather do something else, right? And so I think pushing beyond your comfort level in whatever way it is. If it's jujitsu, you can do that. You can, if you're doing jits every day, well, you change something about it. Like instead of being there for an hour, try to, roll for an hour and a half or something, like extend it. Or I don't know, can you do jujitsu with a weighted vest on? That way change things.
Well, so my first question would be, if you feel like you're hitting a plateau, how is your nutrition? Because
John.
Because and it depends. Like by plateau, do you mean like plateau in skill, plateau in fat loss, plateau in body composition shifts? Like a plateau can mean a lot of different things. The biggest thing that is going to make the fastest change in your body is your nutrition. So dialing that in first. If you're looking to increase strength. So jiu-jitsu is a great workout as far as mobility and like strength and overall cardiovascular. But if you are looking to like really improve your strength, you're going to need to train strength specific. If you are looking to significantly shift your body composition, it's going to be almost entirely nutrition.
John, just call us stinkers.
But honestly, plateaus as far as body composition shifts are going to be almost entirely nutrition.
Amen.
Plateaus in terms of strength, part nutrition, but you're going, if you are looking to improve strength and improve muscular capacity and volume, you do have to continue to increase your weight and or your reps over time from a resistance training standpoint. So it's really based on the individual. But I would first ask yourself and be honest with yourself, how is your nutrition?
Yeah, and it's funny. That's why there's two of us, because we read the questions differently. I was like, okay, when I think of a plateau in regards to the context of your question, I was like, I felt that in the gym before, where you're just at an exercise plateau, and so in order to push beyond that, then you have to do something different.
Yeah,
but she's right. She is right.
Just keeping it real.
Yeah.
I asked myself that question too. So,
yeah.
John did say up above, Sarah is also one of the most compassionate and shameless,
teachers.
Shameless teachers. She is awesome. She is. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Hopefully one of these days we'll get her on a live. She can join us on a live.
We're doing it. We did have another question that came in to our question box, and now we can't access it because we're on here, but before we started this live that I want to make sure that we get to. And I'm going to paraphrase the question. I believe it was something along the lines of she's lost a significant amount of weight, and now she has a fair amount of loose skin. What's the best way to tighten skin after weight loss? And I think that's a fantastic question and something that we run into a lot. First and foremost, skin will tighten over time. I knew the second I said that she was gonna.
I'm ultra aware of it now that I've mentioned it. Sorry.
Skin will tighten. I tried to soften it there. Yeah. Skin will tighten over time, but it takes patience. Sometimes up to 2 years. If you continue to hydrate your body, you're feeding yourself whole nutritious foods. And you're moving your body, specifically resistance training, that skin will naturally tighten. Now, will it be like what it was like when we were 10 years old? Probably not, but it will naturally tighten. But hydration is huge, both hydration from drinking water as well as and that is going to keep your skin hydrated, but also using a nice natural hydration product on the actual topical skin itself. And then the other thing is resistance training. The more you can resistance train and build muscle to fill that capacity under the skin, it will help tighten that skin faster. So I hope that helps.
Yep.
Hang in there.
That is a marathon,
yeah,
not a sprint too. I mean, there are extreme circumstances where you could have, you know, a surgical procedure done, but most people don't need that.
Yeah.
You just need time and a little bit of effort.
And honestly, if you're feeling good and you are making improvements in your energy and in your performance and all of that, like, so what if you have some loose skin? Like, you know, I know that's easy to say. Like, obviously, we're all wanting to try to improve, but there are certain things that I think men and women, like showing ourselves some grace in certain areas, we all need a little bit more of that. And I'm talking to myself right now, too. I'm so sorry for my dogs today, you guys. We decided to be outside because it's so nice, but there's all sorts of things going on around here.
The little bark's the Chihuahua.
She's not a Chihuahua. She's a miniature husky.
We better wrap this up. We've been talking for a long time.
Okay, so yeah, I have so much more I want to say. Let me just look really quick here.
Oh.
What?
I was going to look at my notes too, but I didn't write anything.
I was like, you have notes?
No,
okay, guys, so we'll wrap it up with a pretty little bow. We did not, we'll try to. We did not get into some of the nitty-gritty specifics that I had hoped to.
What were some of the nitty-gritties that you were hoping to get to?
Just really looking at, like, when you're jumping into resistance training, like, a good place to start. And I think that, honestly, that's going to open up a whole long conversation.
That's a bag of worms. If you want to do that, if you want to dive into fitness and resistance training, send us a message and we can help guide you through that process. We can introduce you to, you know, some things that we love to do and different things like that. So if that's something you're interested in, drop us a message. Don't put it in the comments here. Either send us an email or click on the hop on board button on our website, macromavens.life, and you can message us through there.
You can put it in the Facebook comments because we can still see those after the fact. On Instagram, we can't see comments from the live, only comments that are put in there once we've reposted it for whatever reason.
So if you're interested in starting a resistance training program, let us know and we can kind of go from there.
Okay, guys, so we're going to try to wrap this baby up. So first and foremost, if you have goals of physical composition, body composition, fat loss, improved energy, all the things, first and foremost, you've got to get your nutrition in check. You cannot exercise your way out of a bad fork. You just can't. Is movement important? Absolutely. Everybody should be doing it. But you have to understand your starting point and don't try to do too many things at once. First, get your nutrition and your nervous system in check. And then exercise, you're going to get a whole lot more benefit from. If you're just starting, if you're not moving a lot, first just start with the basics. Move your body every single day. Start by walking. Like Haley said, set your alarm. Make sure that you are standing up, you're moving your body at least every hour. Do simple things like parking further away, taking the stairs. It all adds up. Track your steps. It can make a huge, huge, huge difference.
Yeah, take the stairs. Yeah. That is so easy.
It is.
And elevators are gross.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get stuck in them.
We did. It's a whole nother story. Down in California, like we folded
at a really nice place.
And we got rescued by all the firefighters. But we didn't need them. We just jumped.
We needed somebody to open the door.
We did.
Because we were legit stuck.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go through really quickly all the benefits of exercise outside of obviously physical changes. It improves your mood. It transforms your body. It improves your nutrient uptake. It improves your sleep. It balances your immune system. It boosts your energy. It improves your cellular aging. If you want more specifics on all of those, we talked about them in a little bit more detail at the beginning of the live. We did not get into body types. I wanted to talk a little bit about the ectomorph, the mesomorph, and the endomorph body types and how different exercise is a little bit different depending on your body type, your energy level, all of those things.
You really wanted to go in the weeds.
I did. I like the weeds.
Like that. I don't know how she thought we were ever going to get there.
Well, and so ectomorph is the vata, mesomorph is the pitta,
my gosh.
endomorph is the kapha. I love that stuff.
I do too, but I wasn't going there today. I knew we weren't going to have time for that. Jeez.
Okay, so We then talked.
That's a whole other live.
It is a whole other live. Okay. I know.
We'll add that to the list.
Central nervous system fatigue, and which is similar to adrenal fatigue, and how it's so important not to jump in with really taxing workouts if you are living in a very high stress, constant adrenal draining life, because you've got to figure that out or you will do damage to your system. So we talked a little bit about that. You can go back and listen to that too. Then if your goal is visible muscle, improved body composition, and that toned look, you have to do resistance training. So we talked about the importance of lifting weights, starting with body weight, increasing. You're going to have to increase the weight you're pushing. You're going to have to increase the repetition over time. And you're going to want to work each muscle group 2 to 3 times a week at minimum, spaced by 48 hours apart. You can keep it simple. Push, pull, hinge. Keep it simple. There's a lot that you can do with that. Obviously, then adding on things like cardio and HIIT on top of that can be super beneficial, but only doing exclusively cardio, you're not going to see the muscle tone that you want if that's what you're after. It really depends on your goals. It's absolutely different for every single person, and that's why there's no one size fits all.
And every body responds differently. So,
yep. So true. So we hope this was helpful. If you guys have questions you guys were not able to put in here today, you can message us anytime. If you're interested in jumping in one-on-one individualized nutrition coaching, really partnering with a coach to crush your goals, your individual goals, you can go to our website, macromavens.life. You can click the hop on board button. It does not commit you to anything, but it allows a coach to reach out, answer questions, see if we're a good fit. And we have a lot of things we touched on today. We have full lives on, so check them out.
Yep. Also, if you are curious about the fitness that we are going to be implementing, the fitness program we are going to be implementing here shortly with our wonderful friend and colleague Sarah Lugman, drop us a line. You can click the hop on board button and do it right there also, and we would love to chat with you more about that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Macromavens.life for all the information. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all the things, and we will catch you back here next week.
Thank you guys
so
much. Have a great Monday.